And here I go again on my own. It's the only podcast show I've ever known. Hello, and welcome to a single episode of Bodied, a Cloud9 fan cast. I'm your host, Havokpus. The rest of the crew has been busy this week, but I thought I'd do a solo episode. Just kind of talk about what happened last week and some stuff that I thought was cool. So, first up, C9's show The Nines, sponsored by AT&T, premiered. And I have to say, it was pretty good. It was sort of a podcast show type deal. You had Monty, Semler, and another man whose name I forgot, sadly. But his name is Frodan. That's it. But you had Frodan, Monty, and Semler all kind of come together. You know, it was sort of a 9 countdown type thing where, you know, they had like news in Cloud9. They had moments that happened with Cloud9 that were cool. They had, you know, they had a neat sort of little thing about Jack and sort of his life and how he kind of became, you know, into the owner of Cloud9. They had a cool interview with Cloud9. They had a bunch of other fun little silly segments. And I have to say, I was really blown away with the production value of this show. It was, you know, they had like a whole set. They had a, you know, it was like a whole production actually, instead of, I always pictured something, you know, sort of just like a little closed off room, you know, like a circular desk, chairs, and, you know, little boom mics. And instead we got a pretty well produced show. I'm really forward to watching more episodes in the future. And it was pretty cool just because also I like that I think the hosts were fairly honest with how C9 does when they were talking about performances and stuff. They didn't sugarcoat it too much to where it felt like the teams and the players can't do any wrong, but I think they were also I think maybe they did maybe pull their punches a little bit because it's like, well, this is about Cloud9. We can't shit talk Cloud9 for an hour and a half, especially like that Golden Guardians game. But yeah, overall, really good show. I liked it. Definitely check it out and support the org by giving it some views. But moving on to some pretty neat match results. PUBG placed second at the NPL Phase 2 tournament event thing, and this is another really good feather in the cap for the PUBG team. They're really developing to one of C9's more like consistent rosters that you can really kind of rely on, and they're getting really good results. I think they were super close to getting first place. I think maybe it was the very last round, if another team didn't pop up or something, I think they could have gotten first. So really great from PUBG. I don't think a lot of people pay attention to PUBG just because, you know, it's a battle royale team and PUBG is not exactly the most quote unquote, you know, esports scene. But with PUBG, I mean, we always perform fairly well, I feel like, now. And it's been the battle royale team that has been consistently performing and consistently doing events and stuff. Like, we have a Fortnite team. Well, what is the Fortnite team doing? Like, nothing. You know, not I don't think I've heard anything within the past like 3 to 4 months of like, oh hey, here's what Fortnite's doing. You know, I think maybe like Keo is in a tournament every now and then, but that's not really like super well advertised. You know, speaking of battle royale, our Apex Legends team dropped into the Face It Pro Series league, and first week went by, they got 5th place. They were doing really good. They were killing it, and they were getting a bunch of first place games, I think. But how their scoring works, it's like kills plus finishes, I think. And I think they messed up on maybe a few games, so it kind of dropped them down to 5th. but pretty good. I'm I think that was maybe just the first week, so 5th place after just one uh, round of playing. Really good. I hope the team can continue to do well in the future of this. Also, moving on to Overwatch League, so the Spitfire went 1-1. They played against the Boston Uprising and the NYXL. So they crushed it against Boston. They went 4-0. They put in Quartermain, which is really interesting. I wasn't expecting them to play Quartermain so early. I was expecting him to be more of a sub to Nuss instead of the other way around. But the team looked really good. It looked like their cohesion was a lot better. It looked like they looked like, okay, wow, it looks like they're more patient. It looks like their GOATS play has improved a lot since stage 2. And, I was really feeling it. Then you go into the NYXL game, and man, was I put in my place. I guess, well, we were put in our place, because the team got destroyed. I was, to be honest, I was kind of expecting a loss, because it is the NYXL, and plus London is not the best GOATS team. But after how we played against Boston, and thinking, seeing, London's team, should be steadily improving, and this is the 3rd stage of GOATS. By now, you should have figured out how to play GOATS and play it well. The team cohesion was really off that day. The the team just was not on, and it showed, because we got destroyed 4-0. There was a couple of instances where we did look like, hey, we could actually maybe contend with an XL. We played just a standard 2-2-2 on the first map. I think it was Oasis, or no, it was Ilios. And the first round in Ilios, we went 2-2-2, and I think we won, or we got super duper close to winning. And I'm like, okay, sweet, London's back. All we got to do is play similarly. But then, of course, it went to GOATS, and then it just went downhill from there. We were super close to, I think, playing really well on Hollywood and holding our own against the NYXL. But, again, it's just a thing of our GOATS looked like a bottom team, at least when you compare it to the disparity in skill from NYXL to London that game. We didn't look good. But I'm hoping the team uses this as a really teachable moment and can do something, because the season is fast approaching to be over. We're in stage 3, and I think we only have one more stage, and then the playoffs. So they better figure out definitively, okay, how do we actually play this and play this consistently and play this well against these top tier opponents, because it doesn't matter if you can look really good against the bottom team. If you can't beat the top tier teams, this just proves that you're a middle of the pack team, and you got no hope of really going to the playoffs or doing super far into the playoffs. So hopefully they can do well. I know the Spitfire has proven me wrong before. I remember last year they were doing real bad, and they were really struggling, but then they had everything somehow clicked and the stars aligned, and they figured out how to play as a team, and they looked like a well-oiled machine, and they won the championship. So maybe they can do it again, maybe not. Next week they play against the Toronto Defiant. I think that should be a fairly easy game for London. Actually, looking at their schedule, it's still kind of a mixed bag. They play Toronto this week. They play June 14th at 7:45 Central Time. I'm not going to convert it because I'm alone. Shut up. And then you got the next week you play the Excel again, and you play the Washington Justice. So another 1-1 week probably. And then the final week we don't even play in week 5 for the travel games. We play the LA Valiant and then the San Francisco Shock. So probably another 1-1 week going ahead. So another kind of kind of stage for London, and then you have to hope that London can really bring it home, in stage 4. But I've rambled enough about Overwatch League. Let's move on to League of Legends. So the Academy team played. They got 2-0, and they also actually played yesterday, and they won that one as well against Optic Academy. And something interesting is Jukes has been playing and starting for the Academy team and not Kumo. There's a lot of speculation exactly as to why. Maybe Kumo has found a team, maybe like 100 Thieves or one of the sort of the bottom teams have been like, okay, well, we found, we were able to secure Kumo as a top player, and Kumo can move up to the big stage. Maybe Jukes is going to play with us full time and be our Academy top laner. I don't know. I saw some stuff where it said that maybe Jukes just wants to play in Academy for this split, and then after that, just move on to being a streamer full time. Like I said, it's hard to say. Personally, I like Jukes. It looks like he's got a real good personality. He's pretty skilled on these fighter champions. He's always standing out and doing pretty well. I know yesterday, him and Golden Glue actually switched, and he played mid lane. And I think, from what I heard, he crushed it as Yasuo, which is his signature champion. And the team seems to revolve well around him, and he works together really well in team setting, especially for how the meta is and what we want to do with him and the team right now. I like Jukes. I wouldn't mind seeing him start. If it does mean Kumo is moving up to that big LCS stage. Who knows what's going to happen? I hope that Kumo can see playing time. It might be that maybe Kumo is more the dedicated tank player, and tanks just aren't in right now. Jukes really maybe is the better carry top laner player, even though Kumo is fairly skilled, and I'd say they're fairly close. Who knows? I don't know. I do know one thing: Jukes is bringing in the views thanks to the wonderful Brazilian League of Legends audience and his fan base that he has built up. I know C9 has been getting a pretty good boost of views, so hopefully, hopefully we can learn what's transpiring here. But anyway, moving on to LCS. This is the big one. We played against Golden Guardians and Echo Fox? Yes, Echo Fox. I don't know why I forgot. We looked pretty good against Echo Fox for the most part. That game is not really the one that stood out to me. It was the Golden Guardians game. I really have no notes on the Fox game. The Golden Guardians game honestly kind of upset me, because what transpired in that game was probably some of the worst decision making I've seen Cloud9 make in a while. Being fairly honest. I think they had a good composition going into the game. I think probably one of the issues was that C9 just did not expect Golden Guardians Varus to go into a lethality build. I think they were expecting him to go sort of the Rageblade Bork build that Varus mostly goes, and this really messed them up because they drafted pretty much a full squishy comp. Svenskern was going for the Bruiser Rek'Sai, and that just messed the whole team up. You had no real tanky front line. You also had to deal with Tahm Kench, so anyone who does get low, he just gobbles up. You're not gonna kill that. You have Kennen, who has some really good crowd control, and you have Frog and Zenivia. The champion that he has made his name on, and everyone says ban Anivia from Froggen, because if there is an opportunity to play it, especially in this meta where control mages like Anivia are actually fairly viable, he will play it. And he played it and he crushed us. So kind of a lesson of that stove is hot, do not touch it. Cloud9, please do not touch that stove. Why did you burn yourself? You burned yourself. I have to get the bandages and the aloe now. You clods, learn your lesson. But the decision making was rough. Some of the choices of when to fight were questionable. Sneaky, especially doing his classic, I'm gonna farm bot lane and just int and get picked off and die for nothing. He did that game, which upset me a lot because he should know by now that like I think he should know to be more careful than that. And the fact that that happened just really upset me. You know, you've played this game for a while. This is something that you do and that happens. You need to be more careful. And I felt like he just wasn't careful. And that really upset me. Also, Niski's Azir engages weren't that good. And I think that was... The one at Baron was definitely a problem. I think in general, how he did those engages were not that great. Also, Licorice just kind of trolling and AFKing in bushes for a while. Also, I think weren't helping that much. But to be fair, Golden Guardian's team was like, okay, you need to take them by surprise and get a pick like really quickly because you can't just win in a straight fight. You know, Anivia has too much damage. You're too squishy, so Varus has a lot of damage. They have a cannon. You're not gonna like outfight it. You have to make a quick pick early and then roll with it. But it was just so upsetting. I don't want to criticize Niski too hard, especially because I think that loss really did affect him, and I think that the whole team, but I think Niski very much so was hit pretty hard by this loss. I don't know what to think of Niski. He's a good mid laner, but in terms of like comparing him to how Jensen has played in the past, and he is an inoffensive mid laner, I guess is what I'm saying. He does good for the team. He puts up damage numbers, but in terms of, and I may just be a bit upset because of this game and make it an outlier, but maybe his decision making isn't the best. Maybe just what he does for the team is just not all stand out. We have put more emphasis on Sneaky and Licorice in the side lanes versus Niski, who he's there. You know, he's in there in a good way. You know, it's not like, oh, he's just there. But Niski does not really stand out to me as sort of, you know, maybe one of the top premier mid laners for the NALCS. Especially when you have like Jensen, Bjergsen, and Crown in fucking NA. You know, you're not gonna be like, oh yeah, Niski's really up there when it's like there's Optic has Crown. I don't think that, you know, Niski's gonna be breaking that top 3. But I don't know. This definitely needs to be a teachable moment from pretty much everyone on how to adapt to changes that you didn't expect within the game. How to, you know, the Razor's Edge balancing act of, do we ban the comfort pick or do we ban the meta pick? And you know, I understand why they didn't ban Anivia. I think maybe they understood, okay, we have a strategy to deal with Anivia, but then also we're giving Ole his Tahm Kench, which he's also very famous for. You know, how far do you want to go into to pocket picks versus the meta picks? Because I totally understand why they banned what they banned against Golden Guardians, but they maybe need to work on that balance more. They need to work on decision making. They need to work on correcting some old habits, and they just, you know, they need to be better. That game, I think, was maybe a fluke loss. Well, maybe not more of a fluke, but it was an outlier loss that's not indicative of the team's skill. I think going into this weekend, we're going to see a sharp, you know, more focused C9. I think, you know, they're riding high with how they were winning, but sometimes you gotta check them a bit so they can get on task again and get more focused. But next week, we are playing against Optic Gaming and TSM. I'm actually kind of worried for this weekend just because Optic's actually playing really well. Looking at the standings for how they're playing, they're the only remaining undefeated team. Optic, I think now that they've had a chance to gel more and play together more as a team, they're no longer looking as bad as they have been. You know, they have Crown. Meteos has been playing maybe the best that he's played, and he's starting full time. You know, uh, it's going to be a tough game. You know, I think C9 needs to definitely pick something that can counter Crown and make sure Crown is their boy. You know, they're going to put stuff into Crown. They're going to make sure Meteos and Crown can do well. If you keep them off of that, put a lot of pressure on Crown, I think you can do well. You need to have good decision making in game though. I don't want to see a repeat of the Golden Guardians game where you're just making just these really head scratching idiot choices and just being like, why did you do this? You know, what were you thinking, and what was your process in saying we need to do this, right? And honestly, a similar situation for TSM on Sunday. Make sure Bjergsen can't get a good pick. I think the issue for TSM is more that the roster is more balanced. You know, Broken Blade can do well. I think they're sticking with Grig as their jungler now that his wrists have healed. Bjergsen is going to, of course, do well. Then you have Sven and Smoothie. You know, yeah, I think the meta more is. Actually, I'm not sure what the meta is, man. Don't ask me. But you know, focus on maybe allowing Bjergsen to not get so far ahead to make sure that he gets a good comfort pick. You know, make sure that Grig can't do something that can really take over the game. You know, maybe ensure in camp for Licorice, ensure that Licorice gets a good matchup and he can do well, because Licorice has proven that he can carry Cloud9. So maybe show him some more priority. I gotta say, it's gonna be a tough weekend. I don't know how well we're gonna do. I can see us going the full spectrum. We can go 2-0, we can go 1-1, we can go 0-2 even. I'm not sure. The team needs to be prepared, and they need to have practiced a lot, and they need to show that they can play against tough cookies like Optic and TSM and play better than they did last week. But that's all that I got. I don't have anything else, so make sure, you know, follow us on Twitter at C9 Bodied. Appreciate it so much for the listens. We always like it to have people listen in. You know, if you have anything you want to give us a shout out, if you want to ask a question, you know, really, you know, leave the comments in the Reddit post. You know, add us on Twitter. You know, so thanks for watching, and again, I'll see you later. Goodbye.